Welcome to the Fantasy Football Hub YouTube channel. Today I am joined by the big man Bakar to preview Game Week 15. Bakar, pleasure to have you back on the channel. Another quick turnaround between the previous deadline and the Game Week 15 deadline. And also we are recording this on Thursday lunchtime, so we're yet to see the outcome of the Man United game, Man United West Ham, which is a massive game for you because if Bruno Fernandes, and I worked this out just earlier, gets 2 goal involvements in that game, then it's extremely likely that you will hit 100 points this week, given how good a week you've had once again. I've got your team up on screen, but as you can see, Bakar's ranked at 66k now, which for Game Week 14/Game Week 15 it's an exceptional rank to be at. It means you have huge potential to go on and have like a massive season. So you must be pretty delighted with how the season's gone so far, especially the last few weeks.
Hello, Jack. Thanks for having me. Hello and welcome to all the listeners and viewers. I mean, when your defender concedes 4 goals and ends up with a 12-pointer, you know your luck is in. And I actually tweeted yesterday that I should start buying lottery tickets the way my season has been going. So I started off on a real bad note where I was ranked close to 7 million in Game Week 4. I wildcarded in Game Week 6, bench boosted in Game Week 7, and I rose up the ranks through that. And in Game Week 10, I was 1 million. And within 4 game weeks, I'm like 66k right now. And as you mentioned, I have Bruno captain still to go. So obviously I'm extremely overwhelmed with the team's performance. I realize that a lot of luck has been going my way as well. And, week after week, I think a disaster class is along the way because obviously I'm using up a lot of my luck, but thankfully things have been going very swimmingly.
Let's talk about your transfers from last week. What did you end up doing?
Yeah, so as mentioned in the video, there were 2 routes that I was considering. The first route was to sell Senesi for Timber and sell Enzo for Anderson. And the other route was where I could sell Enzo for Anderson to fund NDI to Foden. And luckily, I ended up doing the Foden transfer, which resulted in a net gain of 16 points because Timber ended up getting benched and Foden scored like 17 points, which was unreal. So, and the funny thing is that I did not have Haaland as captain. So if I had Haaland as captain, I would have been like even higher up in the ranks. But to be fair, I wasn't really giving that much consideration this week. I did think Fulham was a tough fixture. I frankly believe that I was very lucky with the points I got from Foden as well because I did not expect City to go this big, and it was a freakish outcome. I mean, if 9 goals are being scored in the game, it's just a random occurrence.
It's true. It sort of felt like one of those. It felt like a midweek game where stuff was just flying in. Like if you look at the XG, I don't think it was 5-4. But then again, Haaland had 2 other massive chances where, I mean, the chance he actually took was the hardest of his 3 chances, I would say. I don't even know if that goes down as a big chance. It probably does, but he hit the post on 2 other occasions where usually you'd be thinking that's a definite goal. So in a way, 14 points is a lot, but it could have been more, to be fair. But anyway, you still have Bruno Fernandes to come, and that will ultimately determine like how good of a week you've had. Obviously, it's been unreal so far. I mean, I'm having quite a good season behind you, but I'm just getting dwarfed by your scores each week. Like I was 2 million a few weeks ago, and now I'm at like 200k, but you're at 600k, and the team is looking strong once again. So run us through it. Your team for Game Week 15 is on screen. How are you feeling about it? Who are you going to bench? And what are your general thoughts?
I think the team looks in good shape. There are no obvious transfers to make because news has come in that Bruno is in the squad. So even Bruno is not going to be a transfer out, I don't think. And with the fixture that United have, he's probably a hold as well. So I don't have any obvious transfers to make. And this is actually one of the reasons why I don't like the new rule that they've introduced of having 5 free transfers because of the African Cup of Nations. So just for the benefit of the listeners, we will get 5 additional transfers, like 5 free transfers in total in Game Week 16. Because the players will be after the African Cup of Nations. Now, had this been any other week in the season, like 10 out of 10 times I would have rolled because the team looks fine. But now I'm forced to think and maybe make a move that I would not necessarily make in the ordinary course of things.
I just want to interrupt. It's worth mentioning that. I know you've said it there, but just in case people don't know, you get 5 free transfers next week but you can only have a maximum of 5 free transfers. So,
Correct.
you want to use all your transfers this week. I mean, you don't have to, but you might as well because they're like genuinely free transfers because you're going to get 5. No matter how many free transfers you roll, you're going to have 5. Everyone in the game will have 5 next week. So you might as well use them, is what Bakar is saying.
Exactly. So, given how volatile some of the price changes have been, I mean, it's been crazy looking at the midweek transfers. The players are rising all over the place. Uh, a lot of people have already moved the likes of Enzo and Semenyo to Foden, and rightly so because Semenyo has already fallen. Foden has risen. He's projected to rise again tonight. I would not be surprised if he rose again tomorrow, given the amount of traffic that he's receiving. Um, so once again, I've moved early, which is not something that I
Have
usually
you?
do.
Wow.
But yes, I did it last week to catch the Foden rise, and I've done it again this week uh, because the routes that I'm looking at for my team, the direction that I want to go in is very tight on funds, and um, I need to get the price changes correct. So uh, with the majority of the players having played, and with the fact that Bruno is fit and available, I did not see myself making any other transfer. And with a good first sub potentially, if let's say something goes wrong, I have Elliot Anderson on the bench, so he's okay to play. I mean, in
Okay.
case shit hits the fan, that's not bad.
Let's let's have a look at your recommended transfers before that. Well, first of all, were you going to be priced out of this move? Like by point 1 or
I was not going to be priced out of this move, but I was going to be close to being priced out of a move I probably wanted to make in Game Week 16.
okay.
And I just want to mention another thing here that we've seen how volatile the price changes have been in midweek this week and in the previous game week. I think this trend will actually continue next week as well because people will have 5 free transfers and then they'll
Yeah.
go ballistic with the changes. And that would just mean, the price changes would be all over the place. So in order to make sure that I'm in a relatively good position where I have a buffer to go in the direction that I want my team to head to, I had to make that transfer last
Okay.
night. Actually, Thiago didn't rise. I got Thiago in. That's the spoiler.
Oh,
I
you did
sold
it.
Mateta for
Okay. I was just going to have a look at your recommendations before you said it, but you got Thiago in.
yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Tough fixture in on paper away at Spurs, but actually, is it that tough? The recommendation was to get O'Reilly in for Tarkovsky.
Yeah, now I'll come to this. So I did this transfer because from all the 15 players in my team, I feel relatively comfortable with all of them, barring Mateta. Even Mateta is fine, but the fact that he's now getting subbed at like 64, 65, 70, his minutes have sort of gone down the drain really in recent times once Nketiah has come back, and Palace have such a congested schedule that Glasner tends to play Mateta in even the midweek fixtures, in the Conference League fixtures. So he subs him at 65, 70 pretty much in most games. And I was expecting his minutes to be fine with Sarr injured, but the trend has continued, and that's the worrying part. And with the fixture away to Fulham, I thought as if this is a transfer I can make because even if I didn't make this transfer this week, I was 100% going to make it next week because Palace's fixtures from next week onwards are turning and they're not as great as they were, let's say, 5 weeks ago. So, for example,
Okay.
next week they have City, then they have Leeds away, then they have another tough fixture I've sort of forgotten. But anyway, their fixtures aren't exactly nice.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, it's one of those where I think because he's been in everyone's teams for a long time, I've sort of forgotten about him even as like an option, which is a kind of a weird thing to say, I suppose. But it's like when you know a player is in everyone's teams, you sort of forget that they exist in a way because their points don't really matter that much because everyone's getting them or not getting them. But actually, like when you look at a player like Mateta, he hasn't been doing it for a while, and as you say, the minutes are a real concern. So maybe it's a good time now to go against him and hop on a really informed player, Thiago, who has excellent fixtures coming up. So you're not going to do what the recommendation was, which was to sell Tarkovsky, who did really well for you last week, to be fair. But Everton's fixtures now are quite challenging, apart from this Forest at home game. But even that, it's not the easiest fixture for O'Reilly, who has a lot of attacking upside. But then again, City just conceded 4. A lot of those goals were low XG chances, but 4 goals nonetheless. So yeah, ignoring the recommendation, you're going on your own this week. So Thiago's coming in.
Yes, and the reason why I'm
Or he's
going
already in
on
fact,
my
sorry.
own, yeah, I mean, the reason I'm going on my own is because I think that Tarkovsky is a good hold if possible. I mean, I'm playing him at home to Forest this week. Then
Yeah.
then he has Chelsea away and Arsenal in 16 and 17, but I don't need him because he rotates really well with Anderson and Van Hecke. So I don't necessarily need to field Tarkowski anyway. But then from game week 18 onwards, Tarkowski has like Burnley, Forest, Brentford, Wolves,
Okay.
Leeds back to back, and that's like a really, really strong run. So I feel very comfy holding on to Tarkowski really.
Sure. Absolutely. Let's talk about captaincy for this week. Is it obvious this week? I know you went against Haaland last week, and we're yet to see how that played out because Bruno
Yeah.
hasn't played yet. But
I don't think this deserves any sort of debate. I mean, let's
okay.
not waste time on this
Well,
one.
the only
Haaland
question,
is
the only
clear
question
captain
mark is
at
because
home.
Sunderland have been very good this season. Like they beat Bournemouth three
So is
two.
Haaland.
They
So
drew
is
against
Haaland.
Liverpool. Could have easily won that game. Looked really good. I know Liverpool have been poor recently, of course, but Sunderland quietly doing very well. Top half of the table, looking very solid. Doesn't look like there's much of a dip coming at all because they're very set in how they play and everyone knows their position. They're very, very strong team. But Haaland is Haaland, you're saying?
Exactly. And he's playing at home. And if he's playing it at home against pretty much anyone really apart from Arsenal, I would feel very comfortable captaining him.
Yeah.
Also just want to touch upon one other thing briefly that I mentioned that I made the Mateta to Thiago transfer because I was probably gonna risk being priced out of a move I
Mm.
wanted to make in game week 16. Now that move in game week 16 is to buy Julian Timber for Senesi. Now I held on to Senesi last week and I did not do Senesi to Timber like I mentioned. But I see no reason now not to bring him in. I know Ben White played well last night, but Timber has had his rest. He's pretty much just going to play all games, I think, in December at this point because he would be well rested. And the fixtures for Arsenal are really good. So my plan is to bring him in game week 16 when Arsenal playing at home to Wolves. That just seems like a Hall written all over that
Yeah.
fixture.
You always said that was your move, really, as well. Whether you went for Foden this
Yeah,
week or Timber, you'd always planned to get the other one in at some point. I got Timber in last week, got
exactly.
burned by that, but it happens. There was
It's a
always a
very
chance
fine
he could
print.
have been rested in that game. Like if there was a game he was going to be rested in, it was probably that one. I didn't expect it. I don't think you expected it, but it happened.
It happened, yes. And over the course of the game week, especially yesterday, I was actually quite worried regarding a funny situation in my own team where I had Bruno Fernandes as captain and Saka as vice captain. And Anderson was my first sub at 0 points. So I could have easily ended up in a scenario where, Bruno might not have showed up. He was an injured out. Saka wasn't starting, could have easily gotten zero. And Anderson was my first sub. Now that would have been like a complete disaster. So that had me worried for a while. But thankfully, Saka's at least gotten six. So that's something, even if Bruno has a no shoot tonight,
So you
that's
didn't
still
even
some.
vice Haaland. Wow.
I didn't Vice Holland, yes, because I did not expect that game to be as high scoring as it
Uh,
was.
yeah, that's fair enough. Okay, I don't think there's too much more to talk about this week. Anything that comes to mind?
Yes, I think what we need to talk about is the plan for field managers who don't have Foden and how they can get to him because
Okay.
that's clearly the transfer in this week for a lot of people. I think I would sell Semenyo if you can. I would sell Enzo if you can for Foden, depending on what you can afford. I think Foden is in that place where he's at risk from no one because no one plays in the position that he's playing, and um, his expected minutes are as good as they have been this season. So you see the season has consistently played 90, and with the performance he's been putting in, I just don't see a world where he ends up missing a game in the short term at least. So I do think Foden has to be an absolute priority this week.
Yeah, I have no real way to get him in without taking a hit. So I'm gonna have to wait one more week, I think. And I would just say I don't like. I know he's had a couple of really good games. But I do think the Sunderland game is not going to be a walkover for City. I don't see them scoring like 4 goals. I
I
think Foden definitely could score, but I just don't. I don't think you have to rip up your team to get Foden this week. Maybe that's like famous last words. I do think you have to get him in eventually because he's playing, yeah, as for all the reasons you just mentioned, and also when he's in this sort of form and playing this consistently, he does keep getting played, which is really important.
Jack, I don't think that I would buy him for a hit, but
Yeah.
because I've seen your team, I think I would sell Mbomo for Foden as well because Mbomo is going to be a transfer
No.
out. I would. I personally would. And Bomo is going to be a transfer out in 16 or 17 at best for you anyway. So I would personally just bring that forward and get Foden for the home fixture.
See, I'm between, and I'll talk about this in my own video, but I'm between selling Semenyo for Minte, who I really like this week, and then like with that money, eventually then doing Mbermo, obviously up to Foden. Or you're saying I don't know. What do you think about Semenyo? I mean, Semenyo's still in loads of teams, right? Do you
I
think?
my
Do you
my
think?
recommendation my recommendation for your team. Look, there's a world where, for example, if you don't sell Semenyo to Minte this week, you might not do it next week either. I mean, Minte is playing Liverpool when Liverpool
No,
haven't
you
been
wouldn't do it
great,
next
but
week. Then it's Burnley. Yeah, then you have Burnley
exactly.
for
But
Bournemouth.
if
Yeah.
you defer the Mbomo to Foden move, you're gonna do it next week anyway, or maybe in 17 at best,
Yep.
right? So you're essentially saving yourself a transfer by going that route. So I feel as if it's quite a easy decision. I mean, I would do it without any hesitation if I had your team.
I guess the question is what scores more points? What combination? Foden and Semenyo over the next two, or Minte and Mbermo over the next two? And
But you
maybe
also have to
that's
factor in the additional transfer.
yeah. Although I would keep Minte for a while. I like him as a pick.
You probably would, but I
I don't know.
mean, if you
Is
keep
Semenyo? Well,
Semenyo this
let's
week,
talk about Semenyo. Let's talk about Semenyo because he's still owned by over half the game. And I think it's way more than that in like top million.
yeah.
What do we do with him? Because he's been poor for a while in terms of FPL output.
So I sold Semenyo in game week 10.
Yeah.
In game week 10, he was, I think, second only to Holland in terms of point
Mm.
scorers. But I mentioned at the time that even though I think he's a good pick, a lot of people were inflating how good he is,
Yeah.
especially at the price that he comes at. Bournemouth's XG numbers aren't exactly all that great this season. I mean, they're average, they're mid-table for XG, and Semenyo's own numbers are okay. He's clearly overperformed his goals and assist tally, and he's one of the biggest overperformers this season. So I think he's okay to hold if you can hold him, but like I don't think he's a priority sell. If he's your only route to Foden, I would sell him. But otherwise, I would be okay keeping personally as well.
Interesting. Very interesting debate. I mean, if you're in my position in the comments down below, let me know. Let me know your thinking. What do you think about Semenyo? I don't know if Chelsea, like, just having watched Chelsea last night as well, as a Chelsea fan, knowing that Leeds game was going to be extremely challenging, and it was, this Bournemouth game is also going to be extremely challenging for Chelsea. Like,
No Caicedo, right? That's big.
Caicedo's banned. Bournemouth are like, Chelsea have this thing every December, and I feel like non-fans of the club don't really get this, but like we really struggle in this December period. There's quite a lot of rotation. The B team is just nowhere near as good as the A team. Like we go to places like Leeds, like Bournemouth, and just don't do well there. Like if anything, we need to play against like the bigger teams in big games to actually perform in this December period. It's very strange. I mean, last year there was a Fulham game where we just lost 2-1. It was awful to watch. Like we were just so bad, and I felt similar to that in the Leeds game yesterday, and this Bournemouth game I think is a potential banana skin. So again, I don't know. Maybe Semenyo's a hold. Interesting one. I'll have to think about it.
One final question, I think, which is going to be popular because we're getting 5 free transfers. So let's assume if you have close to a near perfect team with not much to do this week, which 1 week punt do you go for? So I think if you find yourself in that position, which is obviously different to me because I am planning on bringing Timber in 16. So I had to sort of get Thiago in this week. But if you already own, let's say, Timber, if you have a good enough squad for 16, then I think maybe Mateta to Voltemade could be
I
be
like
nice.
it a lot. I like it a lot.
I think he's playing Burnley at home this week. Burnley are just absolutely terrible, and I'd expect Newcastle to win comfortably in that fixture. So that's probably one I would look at with the view of then probably selling Voltemade for Thiago next week.
Really?
Because Thiago will have to come in. Look at the fixtures for Brentford from next week onwards. He has Leeds at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, Spurs at home. Like that's like a really strong run between 16 and 19, especially for someone at his price. He enables so much that I just feel as if he should be in pretty much all teams from 16 onwards.
I really do wish that Newcastle had better longer term fixtures because I can do Mateta to Voltemade right now. That's another option I have. And then just keep Semenyo, keep Mbermo, and then I can do Semenyo or Mbermo out for Foden next week.
I mean, Newcastle's fixtures are okay. They're playing Sunderland away, then Chelsea at home, then
Yeah.
United away. They're not bad, but they're not amazing either. I think Voltemade for Thiago would be quite an easy sell next week. I really do.
But I've got a 3-4-3. I've got Thiago already.
That's
I don't think I'll go for Voltemade, but it could be a plum. Like, that is a great entry point, and they play Burnley twice in the next 5 games as well, which is pretty cool. But all right,
yeah, and I think in your position, I think it's actually this brings me to another question: what to do if you have 3-4-3 with Thiago already in? Would you sell Mateta? Um, I don't think I will in that case. I think he's fine to keep.
yeah, I think so too. I'm not 100% done with Mateta. He's still getting like a lot of big chances. The minutes are a concern, but he needs to start taking them.
I mean, he can be like he can be steady with his returns, but I don't see him like going mental. If you know what I mean.
It's just whether he's worth the transfer when you sort of do know what you're getting with him. And it's not as much as we thought it was going to be, a month or so ago.
But. Also a word on Thiago's benching last night. The manager said it was tactical because they wanted to play 3-5-2. I'm sure
it was a rest.
It was just because it was a rest, basically, because Collins didn't play either. It was basically, he was kind of throwing the game and focusing on the easier games ahead. And he didn't want to say it out loud.
Well, good management. Yeah, exactly. You can't say, we threw this game. We were focused on other games. And the fans that have travelled, not very far, but the fans that have travelled be like, okay, we want our money back then. Because we paid to see the A team. Exactly. All right. Good stuff, mate. Thank you very much for that, as always. Quick turnaround once again, guys, this week. Don't miss it. Saturday, 11 o'clock. If you want some help with your team, sign up to Fantasy Football Hub. Link down below. Use the AI transfer tool. Look at my team. All the stats, all the articles. Bakar's final team reveal will be posted at what time, Bakar?
Tomorrow.
That's not a time, but there we go. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, guys, and we will catch you on the next one.